Hello, everyone. Hello. Okay, we are still missing Miss Zachary over at the Tigers of Bliss. I don't know if she doesn't get the email or she's having trouble right now. I'm going to refresh the stream and just to make sure that the YouTube is loading correctly. And yes, I see everyone. I see us. That's good. Hello. Let's do the official welcome to TT&T, not AT&T, TT&T, TarotTube and Tea session with me on the cusp tarot, Y, and we have Lucy over at Lucy AcquaLuna, and we have Annika over at Nobody Here 2020. We are missing Miss Zachary over at the Tigers of Bliss, but we want to keep this tight and keep it moving. When he show up, he'll show up. Hopefully he will show up. So let's do this right now. How's everyone doing in the chat, in the room? How are you, Lucy, and how are you, Annika?
I forgot to unmute. I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited about this conversation, so yay.
So tonight's conversation is about a diversity. Diversity. This is such a big word. It's not really actually a big word, but it is a topic that we like to talk about recently, forever, and every day. So this roundtable gathering will be in the style of Q&A. So we are going to ask each other. I'll ask the three of them. We'll just bounce off of each other more or less on the Q&A style. Because one thing that I want to bring forth about diversity, one of the key element about diversity for me anyway, personally, is about understanding. So if I can actually understand more about Lucy, understand more about Annika and Zachary, Miss Zach, then I will have a more insight of who they are, and hopefully in turn, knowing who they are, I will be able to understand more about diversity. So we want to keep this short. We'll try to keep it around an hour. So the whole format will be about the first 20-30 minutes will be us talking to each other, answering each other's question, and then we'll open up to the room, to all of you. How many of you are out there? All 19 of you out there asking any desirable question that you want to ask us. So have your paper and pen ready, drop down whatever you want to ask us, and then we'll wait until we open up to everyone else, and then you can answer your question. Okay, let's get started. And Zachary, please, if you are vibing us right now, you can feel us right now, we already started. So hopefully you'll know that it's 9 p.m. Central Time, not 9 p.m. Pacific Time, okay? So who knows? Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is kind of a fun thing. Who wants to go first? Either Annika or Lucy first. Who wants to go first?
Annika goes first.
Annika, go first.
Okay, I was going to ask the question, but okay.
No, Annika is going to go first. So this is the game. Lucy has to play this game too, and hopefully Zachary will come in time after Lucy and Annika. You will have 90 seconds. Annika, you have 90 seconds.
Okay.
90 seconds sums up from the beginning, wherever you want to choose, from the beginning till now. Whatever your journey is, you can talk about your birth, you can talk about anything pops into your mind. It doesn't have to be like like logical whatsoever. Just
Okay.
pick it up out of your mouth, word diarrhea, and then I will literally look at 90 seconds and I'm gonna cut you off. Whatever you are there, you're gonna be done.
Okay, let me put a stopwatch then. 90 seconds, did you say? Okay. Okay, stopwatch. So,
Ready?
oh, damn, you didn't say this. Okay, ready.
Go.
Okay, I am Indonesian by birth. I am Chinese Peranakan by descent. I am a New Zealander by citizenship. And I've lived in 6 different countries throughout the course of my life: Indonesia, Belgium, Singapore, New Zealand, the United States of America, and Switzerland. I speak 2.5, 3 different languages. I say that because it's English and Indonesian. I also speak a variety of different dialects, but not the entire dialects. That's why I say 2.5, 3, 2.5. What else? Come on, prompt me. I grew up Roman Catholic. I am currently non-committal spiritually. I am an open-minded person, so I inquire about anything. What else? I don't know what else. Ask me a question. Okay, my current tarot journey is at a point where I believe the ultimate tarot is not to tarot, and I stand by that. It doesn't mean that I do not think tarot is ineffective or unimportant, but it has taken an abstract sort of form. What else? I am most comfortable writing rather than vlogging, so blogging rather than vlogging, but I am enjoying vlogging so far. And yay, Zach. And that's it.
All right. So 90 seconds is up. So let's catch up, Miss Zachary. The first question is, the next is going to be Lucy. And then after Lucy is you. You kind of have, time to think about it. You have 90 seconds to tell your beginning till now, whatever that means to you. You can say from birth, you can say about your tarot journey, whatever you want to do. 90 seconds. Whatever. Yep. So Lucy,
Actually, I think Zach should go. Don't give him any time to prep.
Okay, who wants to go next?
Go, Zach, go.
You want me to do this raw, natural? You want this all just stream of consciousness? Hold on.
Stream of consciousness, work, diarrhea, like just the verbal. 90 seconds.
Okay. Born and raised in California, and yeah, that's it. Imagine. Currently living in San Luis Obispo. Let's see. I don't know. I haven't lived life, I guess, that much. I've been like reflecting on that, and I'm like, how much have I experienced and lived for me to actually, dive so much into it? Yeah, I can't get into it, girl. You're forcing me into an uncomfortable position.
Anything you want to say, your father, your mother, how much language do you speak?
Okay, I speak 1.5, I guess you could say. I can understand Spanish, but I can't speak it. And my mother is from the U.S. My father immigrated from Mexico with his family. My mother came from essentially followed the harvest essentially along California until finally settling down in Lindsay, and that's where I was born much later. And yeah, my father came over. My father's side I know very little less. So yeah. And yeah, I don't know.
And you're done. Yeah. Thank you, Miss Zachary. Last but not least, Lucy. 90 seconds. Your time from beginning, whatever the beginning is, till right now. So reset my timer, and 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, I'm Lucy. I am from Mexico, born and raised. I was born in a car. Yeah, true story. What else? Both of my parents are from Mexico, and to my knowledge, we don't have like direct relatives or like known relatives from outside of Mexico. So there's that. What else? I speak English fluently, sort of, or I think I manage decently. I speak Spanish in a much better way, I think, since it's my native language. What else? I'm 32. I'm comfortable with my age. I'm comfortable with identifying as a woman. I am comfortable identifying as a Latino. I am now very comfortable identifying as a witch. Spirituality has always been very accepted in my family, so I feel very, very grateful for that, to being able to practice witchcraft and all that stuff since I was little, so that was fun. What else? I studied actuary. I love math, and I love magic. That wraps it up. Is that my time?
5
I still have
seconds.
5 seconds. I love tarot.
Perfect. Done. Bye. Okay, since I have to do it too because, only fair, I'm going to start my timer. Here we go. My story in 90 seconds. Here we go. My mother is Chinese who was born in Vietnam, Saigon. My father is Chinese. They met in Vietnam. Saigon, Vietnam War happened. They both moved to Hong Kong. Well, they don't move to Hong Kong. My mother moved to Hong Kong. So my mother went through the Vietnam War. My father went through the Cultural Revolution. So they both went through major crisis. Both of them were rich. So I don't know why I'm poor, but because of war, I am poor. So my father has, the family has like rice, fuel and everything. And then my mother's family has like battery factories and everything. They have me Hong Kong. Half of my mother's family went to America. They put in the paperwork to have my mother and us come to America. Right before 1996, before Hong Kong returned back to China from Britain, we got the paperwork. We come from Hong Kong to Omaha, Nebraska. That's right, Omaha, Nebraska. Complete shock whatsoever. Went to high school, graduated college, got my degree, went to Chicago, and here I am. And I speak 3 languages. Goodbye. Ding.
Yay.
Okay, one fun question. After that, if you are going to write an autobiography, whatever you just built out, that 90 seconds, you're going to turn into a book. What will that book title be? Go.
Shorter than it should be.
Shorter than it should be. Beautiful.
I have one, but I don't want to share because I'm kind of serious about the title. So I'll let Lucy, let me think.
A title for a book?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. I saw this on Drag Race. I should be more prepared. I would say The Journey of Two Paths, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
And mine will be, I still don't know what I'm doing with my life.
That's a good title.
I still don't know. Okay, so that's my question, which from what you can sum up in that 90 seconds, we kind of get a glimpse of the fun thing about this kind of exercise is you really kind of, besides spelling what normally you're going to spell, hi, I am an Aquarius and a Capricorn, and I, whatever, something that is deep seep into your subconscious that is kind of like automatically spelled. Right? That you speak how many different languages, whatever is actually important in your brain, right? That you're Indonesian, you don't like to be called a witch. I don't know what Zach was talking about. But like any of those things that like, I feel like my story is heavily relying on how my family has been gone through war and now come to complete freedom to America, right? So you kind of get a glimpse of who we are subconsciously. So now I'm opening up to Lucy and Annika and Zach to ask each other, out of that 90 seconds, whatever you can remember that you're more interested about on each other, or whatever you have already formulated your question you want to ask. So it's up to you three. The floor is open.
I want to ask Lucy. You know, Lucy, how you said that, although you said that you're so far, your lineage has so far been within Mexico, but you did mention in passing, I think, and I always wanted to know a bit more. You said something about, I think there's a mixture of all sorts of things. Is there like a Spanish cultural, I'm not going to say race, I'm not going to say blood. Do you know what I mean? Like your heritage, although it's within Mexico, it's quite diverse, isn't it? And if so, would you be able to share a bit more that diversity within your own family in Mexico? And is it typical?
Yes, absolutely. So I guess this ties to DNA, right? So I was curious. I'm not afraid of sharing my DNA, so I submitted my DNA in the States because at the time that test was not available in Mexico. I think they just started that like a year ago. So I did the ethnicity test, or whatever it's called, DNA test. And yeah, it was very like every like 50% I think or so, like native Mexico and like this area of the whole continent, with that extents, like south, north and south, which I think it's reasonable. And then yeah, there was a significant percentage from Spain. And then I do have like, I don't know, some percentage about something else in Europe. And I was more pleasantly surprised with India and Africa, like a tiny percentage, but I was like, oh, I'm proud. But so I think that's in the mixture, but I think that's in the mixture of everyone, at least in here, like if your skin tone is a little on the lighter side, for sure you have Spanish ancestors. So I think I'm glad about that. Like Mexico was more sort of like a rich mixture, so we get both. So I understand like white privilege and white feeling guilty, white guilt to an extent, because I do feel that I have been favored by that. So maybe not to an extreme, or I don't know, because I don't know that. The being a white American, right, to my imagination. But if I put it on my contacts and talking to other friends that also have that, I can definitely see the, I don't know, the touchy feeling there, like the struggles that we see in a world, that has been dominated by a white culture. And
do you mean the privilege about being lighter skin?
Yes.
Okay.
And I do hate the terms like color for skin tones, but it's like, I don't know, what do we have? So I was not very eloquent. I don't know.
No, I got you. Yeah, I think that's sadly true for a lot of communities and a lot of cultures. For some reason, it's something to do with this. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. We only have an hour, so.
I guess I can ask other question. I actually want to ask Aniki. Sorry. I'm not playing ping pong, I swear. No, but I was very curious. So you listed the countries that you have lived on. I'm curious about like your teenage years. Where were you living? Like, I don't know, from like 10, 11 to 14, 15.
So when I was about 3, my father went to Leuven in Belgium. It's a Dutch-speaking side of Belgium, because if you go to Brussels, they speak French, or they say Flemish, not quite Dutch. It's a Dutch, but with a sort of French twang. I used to speak it fluently because I was a 3-year-old. That was the only thing I spoke, really. I was learning how to speak, so that was my first ever language that I'm proficient in was Dutch. And by about 6, so that's I'm 50 now. So 1976, 75, my parents went back 3 years for his master's. My dad did his master's in architecture in Leuven, in the Catholic University of Leuven. because it is associated with his university at the time, Catholic Universitas of Parahyangan in Bandung, in Java Island. And then 76 to 89, I was in Indonesia. So my 76, from the age of 6 to the age of 18, I was in Indonesia. And 89, I moved to New Zealand. So I spent the majority of my adult life feeling like a Kiwi. But my formative year as a young adult, very much in Indonesia. Yeah, so somewhere in between, I sort of traveled and took a job in Singapore, and then went to New York to do my master's, and then ended up in Geneva because my fiance at the time, my ex-husband now, worked for the UN, the United Nations Compensation Commission. So it's a unit of the United Nations who processed war reparations that was past the first Iraq war. You know, when US Bush Senior first invaded Iraq, after that war, the United Nations set up like a compensation commission, and they hired a lot of lawyers at the time, and my ex-husband was one of them. So I followed him, and then right after that, I went to New York to do my master's. So that's how I ended up in those two countries, in the US and in Switzerland. Yeah, but that's kind of off topic. But yeah, so my formative year is in Indonesia between the ages of 6 to 19, 18.
That's pretty impressive. Thank you for sharing.
Next question. What else?
Are we just gonna gloss over that Lucy was born in a car? I want to know that
There's
story.
not much to that. They didn't make it to the hospital. What can I say? I wanted to be born.
I wasn't sure if it was gonna be sensitive question. You know, I thought should I?
I know. I was like, shit. It's like, if not, well, like, but if there's more to it,
That's exactly asking now.
I absolutely love it, because there is a saying in Spanish that when you are like lazy and don't want to like do public transportation or walk a lot, they say to you like, "Oh, were you born in a car or what?" No, and I can totally say yes, I was. So deal with it. No. I was actually, my family was on their way to the hospital. It was my mom and my grandparents. She was still living with them. And then she was a young mother, not anymore. But she was fairly young when she had me. So my grandparents helped her with the whole thing. And I think my father arrived much, much later. I don't know where he was. But yeah, my grandmother actually received me. Like, that was pretty nice.
I have a question for all three, because I am nosy and I am bossy. The whole thing about this Q&A session is really trying to understand each other in order to understand what diversity is, because without understanding each other background and personal story, we can't really dive into that diversity, what truly diversity means. So I am interested. We're all different upbringing, right? So from Mexico, born in a car, moving around all your life, Annika, places to places, and being a Mexican, right? Mexican in America, especially at this time right now under the administration. I am interested, through all these different upbringing, out of your head right now, that one struggle. I think Lucy kind of said that about the white guilt, the lighter skin color struggle, right? I don't know what it is in New Zealand. I don't know. I have a little bit more inkling of what Zach is going through in America, because I'm in America, right? And I'm a minority. Out of your head, what is the biggest any struggle that you can think of? I'm sure that everyone have a lot of struggle. One struggle that you can only name, one struggle, the biggest struggle that you can think of, that you can share with the group. one big struggle out of your top of your head right now?
Losing my ability to speak Spanish fluently. When I was little, I was able to speak Spanish perfectly with my grandparents and everyone in my family because they didn't know how to speak English. So where I lived in Lindsay, Porterville, around there in California, what they had was like a dual language program. So I was able to learn both Spanish and English at the same time. Then, come 4th grade, I move over to Bakersfield, California, and that is where I start just English, just pure English, and I lose it all from that. And it's like when I go to visit my family, it's like I can't fluently speak it, and it's like one of the most heartbreaking moments. Now looking back on it, like at first I like brushed it off. I'm like, whatever it is, what it is. But one of the things that broke my heart the most was hearing my grandma say, "He doesn't know what we're saying," in Spanish. And this was like how long ago was it? Like I was in middle school. Like I was like 14 maybe? No, younger than that. 12, 13, around there. And I heard that and I was like, I understand what you're saying. I just can't reply. It's like, and it's like, I'm like, oh, why? And it's like my parents never, I was never really pushed to keep up my Spanish speaking language, but they would still give me shit about it. So yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things like here is like kind of like sort of being forced to get rid of that part of myself.
Oh my God, like this is a Q&A session. I do not want to comment too much on that, but just the idea when you see those clips when different people speaking in different languages in supermarket, and then you have people and say that if you speak that language, go back to your own country. I cannot comment on that, and let's keep it at that. Thank you so much for sharing. Beautiful story. Lucy, Annika, what's up?
Yeah, just to comment on Zach, like you haven't lost the ability, no? I understand that what you have lost the fluency, but I think definitely you can take it. So from now on, I'm only speaking Spanish to Zach. I guess I want to be very like, since you were doing like the 90 seconds rule, and so the first thing that came to mind is quite personal. But I think I'm ready to share that. So one of the struggles, and I've been working for years now with in therapy and all that, knowing that my parents considered not having me. So knowing that has been difficult. I'm happy to be here, but I definitely struggled with knowing that, like knowing that you were not planned, that again, I was saying, sort of touching, that my mom and my dad were really young, so they were not entirely prepared to have a kid. I'm super helpful, super happy and glad that they decided to, right? But knowing that like doubt or hesitation was on their mind, it's definitely difficult, and I do not wish that upon anyone, which I mean, I feel like more, maybe someone has statistics, like probably most of parents have a question, even if it's just a second in their mind, like, oh, are we ready to be parents? But sometimes I do wish that I was more like planned, or there was more, I don't know. That's my struggle.
Annika?
Identity. It was very difficult to negotiate all these different aspects of myself, feeling like you don't belong anywhere. And no matter which group you go to join, they say you're kind of not quite part of us. It took me 30 years to finally realize that because I don't fit in anywhere, I fit in everywhere. And that in itself is an identity. I've lost the ability to speak Chinese. That's forced as well due to political happenings in Indonesia in the 60s. There was communism was everywhere. This is very familiar to you in the US, I'm sure, with communism, the fear of communism in the 60s. And of course, China was the mother of all communism at the time. And so we were of Chinese descent. We have Chinese names. So we were also forced to relinquish our Chinese name. So my mother and father have had Chinese names, and our ancestral names from both sides, we've given that up. So a lot of my friends, my generation, when that particular dictatorship that was backed by America, by the way. So when that particular government toppled over, everyone started reclaiming their ancestral names. So, the Susanto suddenly becomes Shu, and the Wijoyo suddenly becomes Wee, and all this Chinese name was coming back. The Chahyadis are Chang, they're all started reclaiming their Chinese names. My family and I decided that we're going to stick to our Indonesian name, because if we revert to our Chinese names, nobody's going to hear the story of us getting robbed of not only our mother tongue, but our ancestral names that's been passed down the generations for thousands of years. And if there's any Indonesian watching this, I don't think so, but please don't take offense. I bear no resentment. I think part of me are more Indonesian than Chinese, really. So I'm quite, but even now, you see, as I talk, I'm Pranakan, so it's helpful to have a distinct cultural identity that is a mixture of both. So it's not half-half, it's literally a new culture. It is literally not Javanese or Indonesian. It is literally not Chinese, but it's kind of both. It's like water and fire, and you have air or something, like a third. So that's kind of helpful. But for a long time, when I asked my mom, are we Chinese? My mom would say, no, we're not. Because admitting you're Chinese was not safe at the time in the 70s and 80s when I was there. It's different now. It's very different now. But in the 70s and 80s, it was just after those 60s civil war, civil unrest. So it was dangerous to say I'm Chinese. So it's so confusing, because all my friends said you were Chinese, and I go to my mom, said, Mom, are we Chinese? And then she said, no, you're not, so you're kind of like, okay, so your name's Indonesian, you speak Indonesian, but everyone said you're Chinese. Is very, very confusing. So the hardest been identity. Right now, I'm really, really comfortable with my identity, with who I am. I often challenge my nephews and niece not to be so conflicted, because we can be both. We don't have to feel like we don't belong anywhere, because we can choose to say we belong everywhere. But for a long, long time, it was really difficult to not know who you are, because people told you, no, you're not this. No, you're not that. And it's really difficult. But, yeah, for me, it's identity.
Wonderful. There's so much insight into a glimpse, so much insight. Oh my God. But there's a glimpse of understanding like where everybody has been through and what kind of, upbringing of the journey from the 90-second story to where the struggle is. It's condensed, girl. It is condensed. I wish I can do this per episode, per person, and that will be so much more in-depth and so much more fun, but it's already 33 minutes. This is crazy.
Do you have time to ask you questions, Why?
What is it?
Do you have time for us to ask you questions? Do we have time?
Sure.
So when you came to the US, right? Do you struggle? Do you feel like you're kind of, in terms of home? Do you say home? How do you struggle in terms of your idea of home, your idea of where you belong, where you come from, and who you are?
I hated every second of it. I have an accent. I'm Asian. I am in the middle of America, Omaha, Nebraska, right? But the people are so extremely nice there. But the sense of belonging is not there. Completely not there. Because there's there's not enough of Asian people. And I've been uprooted from Hong Kong, what I've known, what I feel, like everything about the East has been completely erased from me, that I am living in the West, right? So through a lot of personal struggle or growing up, getting old, being mature, whatever that means, you kind of, and listening to a story like this, right? Listening to Zach saying that his regret is losing the language, right? And I'm still able to hold on to my mother tongue. and I'm still able to talk to my family in Cantonese and able to speak the language. And I still have this every day when I wake up. I look into the camera, look into the mirror, I see this Asian face. The reality of accepting who I am as an Asian living in America has been tricky. But the need to accept that, is enormously heavy. Because if I don't claim who I am, if I don't claim my Asianness in this society, I would be completely lost. I would be a ghost. I would be an empty shell. I would be a what have been, right? And because I can never assimilate completely because of my accent and because of who I am. I can say that I am Asian American because I'm living in America and this is my home, and I have to concretely, solidly say that my home is America. That's the bottom line, because I can't say it anywhere else. I don't belong in Hong Kong anymore. I have my career, I have my love, and I love this country. Otherwise, maybe this is a deeper understanding that is kind of conflicted and interesting. If I do not claim my Asianness, I cannot love America fully. Does that make sense? Because I would have been a fake person all along.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be both, and therefore you have to be American and you have to be Asian. And that's just how it's going to roll, because you can't choose between one or the other. If you have to choose, as you said, the empty shell analogy is on
right. Because I can't go back there, and I don't. If I don't claim my past, how can I be in the present, which I cannot look forward to the future, right? And America has been good to me. You know, I'm like this. I'm doing a YouTube thingy with all the freedom that I can do whatever I want to say in America. So I do treasure Americans' culture and, you know, the freedom of speech and everything else. But if I do not claim my Asianness, I cannot love America fully. That's my spiel.
I totally get it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we promise we probably should do this again, you know, about identity and diversity, because we still haven't got into our ideal vision of what that true diversity, the meaning of true diversity. The true word doesn't really exist, because diversity is diversity. It is what it is. You are seeing, ladies and gentlemen, right now, 27 people in the room. You are witnessing diversity right now happening in all over the country, all over the world, all over the earth right now. And people in the room right now, there's diversity there, right? But how can we coexist in this spectrum, in this world, in this virtual space or not virtual space? How can we work together? And I feel like for my answers, the only way to do it is understanding each other. And that's why we kind of formulating this Q&A, understanding each other, then really talking like at each other to provide an answer, because nobody can really provide a true answer unless we understand where we are. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't know whether people realize that as a group, we're actually kind of new. All of us have Zach in common. Zach. No, this way. Wait. Okay, there it is. And I think that Y and I talked like once or twice last year when there's some kind of, allegation of racism or something. So we kind of talked about that. But, we, as a group, actually, we are relatively new as a group of people who talk to each other, right? And so, yeah.
Great. So since we promised we're going to open the chat to the room for Q&A. So let's look at question. If you have any dying, burning question, please drop it in the chat right now. And we're gonna rapid fire this. We're not gonna dig down in and have a 6-hour conversation about this question. Okay, one question. What do you guys is the most diverse oracle deck? Like in your collection right now, do you have one?
In terms of creators or depictions?
Do not go there. Just choose one right now.
Oh, damn. I don't know. I'd have to say well, now that I say I'm gonna go with creators. I'm gonna say the Cosmos Tarot and Oracle. 100 artists. I'm sure not all of them can be like white Americans. I'm sure there's diversity in there. I'll do my research.
I'm gonna go and steal Anaki's idea on this. That it's when you want diversity on a deck, it becomes troublesome. Let's just say that. So I'm gonna go with a diverse creator, and for me, it is Dust to Onyx with Courtney Alexander.
Annika.
Yeah, it's a very difficult question for me to answer, not because I don't have a diverse range of collection of tarot and oracle decks and other things, literature as well, by the way, and artwork. But it's because my way of encouraging and supporting diversity is across decks. So I have Dust to Onyx, Courtney Alexander. I have the Next World Tarot, the Urban Tarot. I have the Nusantara Tarot from Indonesia. I have the Siamese Tarot from Thailand. I have Tarot Rikit from Lynette Narciso, who's in the Philippines. I have the Castanlar Tarot, who's I believe was it Eastern European Turkish blend, because Dr. Castanlar, the creator, came from a blend of two families, Islam, Muslim, and Christian, sort of everything in one deck. Yeah, so that's how I have a diverse collection. Do I have one deck that has most diversity? I really haven't paid any attention, because that's not how I believe I should support diversity in creative processes and in media such as cards. So that's my answer.
My answer is I don't find one yet, and the one deck that kind of on the top of my head right now that I can think of has a lot of different people in it. Modern Witch, it feels like there's some. That's that done. I believe in diverse creator and buying diverse creator deck rather than all squishing together in one deck. If that can be done, bravo. Second question.
I have the $64,000 question for Anarchy. Are all those for sale? Just kidding.
There will be on my fourth phase of my liquidation, which will be next year or the year after.
Why, since you said earlier you want to go in depth with each person, maybe you can do something like a one-on-one interview later if they agree. If Lucy and Annika and Zachary will come on my Why Ask interview, maybe we'll schedule that. So that's a possible yes. Any other question? Is that it? There's no more question? Or is the chat stuck?
I think that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. No.
It is 43 minutes. So, I mean, honestly, if you have the next 3 to 4 minutes to drop a question in the chat, if you have any question you want to ask Lucy, any question you want to ask about me, Zachary, or Annika. So that's that. While they are thinking about that, let's say that, and that. Remember to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I have to do it. Oh.
If they don't ask any questions, we're gonna start put these behind a paywall or something.
There's a personal question. Are you near fire?
I don't know. I'm pretty safe, but I am getting a lot of smoke. Like today got pretty smoky, so I had to close all the windows and doors.
Okay, so that's a correction here. There's nobody here. Nobody's here. Sorry. Proofread. Okay. Is any one of these chats planned? Is another one of these chat planned? Yes. Should we talk about it?
I guess.
So just today, we have decided the next topic will be addiction. Addiction. I don't know which channel.
More like addiction.
Addiction. Because it's supposed to be on Lucy's channel, but Lucy doesn't want to do it. So
I don't want to host.
She doesn't want to host, so it probably will go back to Zach unless Annika wants to host.
Am I on? Right. Okay. Yeah, my channel's direction is pretty, a little bit unclear right now. I feel like it'd be unfair to you guys if you host on my channel and then I decided to close the whole thing down. You know what I mean? So it might be safer not to, because I don't know where I'm going with it.
So the next possible topic for TarotTube and Tea most likely will be on Zachary's, the Tigers of Bliss channel, will be collecting and addiction and self-awareness. Collecting, it's more like addiction and self-awareness. So you kind of get the feel what the topic will be about. We'll probably tackle on, because ladies and gentlemen, addict here. My name is Y and I'm a tarot addict and I am not ashamed of it. And we kind of want to talk through that. It feels like it's leaning towards that way.
I should say that too. Hello, my name is Lucy. I'm a tarot addict.
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh,
I used to be, but now I'm addicted to other things.
She's
purging. She's purging.
I'm purging, but now I'm addicted to other things.
We have also a question from Imei, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Amaz's question is that's the tea right there. But
yeah.
But also I am a tarot addict as well. These drawers, they're full of decks.
Okay, any tips to sniff out appropriation in decks? Just go with the gut or do your research.
No, I think it has to be a lot more specific than that, really.
You use your gut to check on the creators. You do not go off and say this deck is appropriate. It's like check yourself. Check yourself while you're checking those people, and look into it. Look more into it. Do more research. I struggle with that a lot. I should say, because it's like I'm like, and it's like, calm down, Zach. Sometimes it's not that deep. And so like for herb crafters, I was talking with Lucy about this when it first came out. I was like, this is like, is it? And looking into it, I was like looking at the two names. The two names are pretty white sounding. They're like, and I'm like, what? But I believe the author, the designer of the deck, not the artist, the author, she is I think she's Mexican descent, and her husband, she took her husband's name, so it's a white name. So that is how it can easily get there. Another one. I always say this, and I'm going to keep. It sounds like I'm a broken record, but it's a good example to put out there. Corazon Mexica. He is a very very white presenting man, and he's always like seen it in the native regalia in Mexico, but he's half Mexican, and he's actually in Mexico and doing the practices and all that, and studying the practices of ancient Mexica culture, essentially. Ancient, would that be right? I don't think that's right. Check me on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have brushed on this, because again, it's very complex and we have a lot of thoughts. But I would say, like, know your culture, and that's when a deck feels appropriation or not for you. So I'm definitely, I can sense something weird, if another culture is being depicted and I feel like something is off, but I don't feel it's my place or like I have everything to say, oh, this is an appropriation deck if it's not taking my culture or depicting my culture. So those are my 2 cents there. Know your culture.
Yeah, I think do your research. If it's a presenting theme of a particular culture that you're not familiar with, how do you know what I mean? Like, do your research. And for me personally, the power dynamic between the culture that has been used in a theme of a media of some kind with the ownership of that particular culture itself, whether there is a mutually respectful relationship between the two. Now, how do you check for that? I really don't know. Operationally speaking, when you look at a deck, how do you know it's appropriative or not? I think it goes back to what Lucy said. Know the culture that you're looking at. And then what Zach says, don't make assumptions because just because somebody else's name is Smith, you can't say that they're not Mexican or Asian. If I can't say my last name, but my last name have been confused with African, Eastern European, and Japanese. So because it's unusual, it's not very Indonesian. So do your research, both the background of the creator and the theme. Sometimes it's really obvious, like the Kali depiction of one of those decks. I can't remember what it's called. If you do research of Kali, you know for a fact why Kali looks the way Kali looks. And when you change the way Kali looks, everything that Kali is about is gone, for example. And that does not take a lot to research. You just Google it on the internet.
Ding, ding, ding. Okay, I think we have one last question we can do before we have to close out our channel, or one last question we can ask each other. Hermit of the Moon asks, how do you all feel about the current community? Do you feel you have a comfortable space here? Let's say I want to ask you, Hermit of the Moon, as in tarot community, as in YouTube community, as in TarotTube community, as in community, or what community? Like tarot community? And
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'm going to take the question away from Hermit of the Moon, and I'm going to say my little community here, and I hope it doesn't raise another word, but I feel very comfortable in Wise channel, in Zach's channel, in Annika's channel. Very comfortable. And to share these, some things that we have shared here are very, very personal. But I definitely feel comfortable to share them in this space.
I'm the wrong person to ask this. Last year, I made a video saying I'm stepping back from TarotTube. I've also said many times, and I'm standing by it. I'm going to say this again. For years, I'm on TarotTube. I always refer to the community as a loosely defined community. And I always qualify by saying the pocket of this loosely defined community that I engage with. And that's a really long sentence. But I think even back in the day when I first started getting, involved in a lot of these social interaction on YouTube, on TarotTube, I think I kind of realized that it's very loosely defined. So later on, I think I said that I don't believe there is a community, but I do believe there is my community. And so as far as my community is concerned, like Lucy, I feel very comfortable in it. So, yeah.
Miss Zachary? The floor is yours.
I think we're all
afraid
kind of
right now, but please spill your tea while it's hot.
Girl. No. Well, I'm with Annika and Lucy on it. It's like I'm kind of forming my own little community. I've kind of stayed for the most part in my own channel, and I've learned to cut off and unsubscribe from channels that I don't want to be associated with anymore, and just cut away what I don't need anymore, really, and just essentially the same thing that Annika and Lucy said. It's like I'm making my own little space that I'm more comfortable with, and honestly, it's like if in the future, it's like things have to be cut off even further. It's like I have to be comfortable doing that as well. But yeah, how do I about the current community? I mean, girl, as from what I'm seeing, here we go. Here it comes. Of the whole tarot community as a whole on TarotTube, I'm okay. My expectations keep going down, but I think they're not going to be any lower, but yet they keep getting lowered. You know what I mean? But then it's like,
So your expectation is lower.
And it's dropping.
Not to be confused with your opinion is low, but your expectation is low. Those are not.
Yeah. Okay. It keeps dropping.
But the TarotTube community is also bigger now, which is why I think we use the term TarotTube. Well, in the past, there's just some tarot people on YouTube. And TarotTube's huge. Like those guys who does reading, like have millions of subscribers. Are they part of TarotTube?
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? And
They are.
This community, this whatever that we're really in, are not quite engaged with that one. So
Are we the tarot deck addict community?
Girl, I was gonna say, girl, exactly.
Maybe this is the TarotTube AA addiction community right now, because we all have so many decks. As far as for me, community is a big word. There's so many different community inside the TarotTube, because TarotTube, you have readers, you have daily readers, you have live readers, you have tarot collectors, you have flip through people, like all these stuff. Do I feel comfortable in the community that I want myself dive into? Yes, completely. And I know how to edit myself, what to watch, what not to watch. I am grateful for everything that I've been through from starting of my channel 1 year ago, the ups and downs, and seeing how the TarotTube evolved. I do not have much of deep attachment like Annika or Zachary, because they have been here longer. So I am still quite optimistic. So while Miss Zachary is kind of, going down, I'm like, you know what, though, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to build it up. I don't know how, but, let's see if, and I think this is kind of like the effort of doing that. These 4 little minions here, just kind of like, see what we can do to kind of like burn the fire again, ignite the Ace of Wands and go through. Because the one has gone through all that, and rebirth and phoenix and all those good stuff, and who knows? And maybe I'll get famous, and then cheers to that.
I have to add real quick. I know my time is running short, but girl, I gotta add. It's like it's worrying because the new baby tarot enthusiasts really don't know the shit that's happened in the past. It's like, so it's like we have a history, but it's like it's kind of being not remembered, but it's also it's like the new blood that's coming in is just it's
well, yeah,
which is
they're
why
very unaware and very unsuspecting, and they're very thinking. I always laugh when I hear the tarot. I just love this community. It's so free of drama.
And that's all, folks. We're cutting here.
We're cutting it here.
But we've touched on this in our first discussion together, though. There's no accountability, which is why I said from the earliest days of me being around here, I really can't honestly say there is the kind of community that I am used to, which means that a community has to have a sense of accountability, because without it, you're quite loosely, aren't you? You're quite, you know what I mean? Like a group of people can do whatever they want. It means that there's no accountability, there's no duty of care. Then you're just a group of people with common interests where you gather where your interests overlap, and when the interest doesn't serve you anymore, you're gone. So is that a community? Maybe it is a kind of community. Perhaps not the sort that you and I are used to, or that you and I prefer to align ourselves with, or that's a whole other conversation. But
It's
I
I
think.
well, I do have to say it is also a personal expectation also. Like for all the newer people, what do you expect from it, right? So if expectation is gonna come and go, right? So if we expect too much from this so-called community, you're bound to get hurt or not get hurt, right? So where's the fine line to adjust that fine dial, you know? And you will see channels that are a little bit more open and talk about ugly shit, like right now.
Like us. I do think the internet memory overall is sort of short, especially with certain topics. But as you feel like, no, you're saying like, oh, the new TarotTubers. But I think at one point, I think I still consider myself pretty new. But like I feel like you and Aniki, you know, you were also like new to the YouTube world at some point, and I guess at that moment in time, you also didn't know the past history, you know, that it's probably forgotten by then. So it's probably recycled.
I want to tie this back up to our diverse immigrant experience, or some of us immigrant experience. You know, there is a term that says you cannot go home again. You cannot go back home again. When you leave a place, you go back there a couple of years later. You think you're going back, you're not. When you go back there 2 years later, 1 year, 6 months, whatever, you think you go back. It's all gone. It's all gone, you know. That place that you left behind is gone. You may think you're returning, but in fact, you are further ahead that way. So I think that community that we started with, Zach, that you and I started with, those are long gone. Long gone. Okay. Not only are they bigger now, people's agendas change and people have more and more to lose as they build their businesses and followers. And so they're no longer as free, easy, whatever. It's just whatever that was. It's like going back, you know, to Indonesia or to New Zealand or to Mexico or to Hong Kong 10 years after you left it. That place is gone. And I think the new community is very different. And therefore, I go back to this idea of our community rather than the community.
I think real quick, I know we're over time already, but I just want to point out Aquamarine 18's comment as well. It's like the community does not have tidy boundaries for sure. There are people who are friends who talk to each other, people I comment back and forth with, but it's not cohesive. I'm like, yeah. That's like people making their own little social circles, but that's going back into a little video tag that went around a while back that, you know, talking about cliques and communities and another C word. But anyways, also auguries and signals, I want to acknowledge this as well, which we kind of touched on as well, right? You touched on this sort of, Annika, with, you know, sometimes you have to burn the past to create something new. There's an African proverb that says, old doors don't open new ways. But I get where you're coming from, though. It's like, you know, that's very true.
I also wrap up comment here. I also totally agree with Aniki and that you cannot go back home. And I think, to me, the dual aspect of that will be like the beautiful saying that home is where the heart is. So you take that, no, you take those memories, those experiences in your heart, and you move them to wherever you are, whoever you are with. And I think that's what makes a home. No, your heart, your experiences, what you treasure about more than the place. No, it's you in that place.
And me gonna do the closing wrap-up statement. Yes, agree. For me personally, as YM, as a new YouTuber, TarotTuber channel, whatever, I aim to look forward. And I want to know what I can do personally to move things forward. Knowing the history, which I have not experienced, but from stories, from, you know, personal experiences, little bit, I understand, but I aim to move forward, because what Annika said completely, because if I keep going back to Hong Kong, what is the point, right? As well just move back to Hong Kong. But if I move back to Hong Kong, it will be a completely different story. Even me physically moving back to Hong Kong, my vision would have been altered because I've been in America. What you all have been through has taken you to this point right here with me. Thank you very much. And it is a safe space, and I hope that it inspires you. I hope that it will, as friends, as people talking about tarot, as a collector, as an addict, whatsoever, that we have each other's back and we support each other and we move things forward, for better, for worse, but hopefully for better. Call for action, because we talk about this. We don't want to just keep on talking in circles with no actions, right? Call for action. Because like I said, we want to move things forward. We want to better this community, whatever you want to call it. We want to better this thing, right? Call for action. I want to invite you all, 1, 2, 3 here, and all of you in the chat to do a call for action. What can you do to enrich your point of understanding diversity? Any idea here? Lucy, Annika, Zachary, what is your call for action for all of us?
Very simple for me. Be curious about cultures that's not your own. I don't know how I can tell you to be curious, though. Having said that, if you don't like chocolate ice cream, can I tell you to like chocolate ice cream? I don't know. But so let me rephrase. Be open to the opportunities and the possibilities of experiencing a variety of different experiences that isn't entirely yours. How's that?
I would say take advantage of the resources you have. Thankfully, we're in a globalized world, however redundant that is, but we are able to, from the web now, see all these information, books, songs, movies, all media. But I would also say, even trying food from other cultures, like also living these experiences outside, maybe reading a physical book, maybe dancing to a song that it's from a culture that's not your own and you're interested in. So taking those actions outside of the web as well. So both, because it's so rich, it's there.
I'm gonna say learn a language. I'm terrible at the consistency of learning a language, which, by the way, I'm like, even though I'm not like attempting to learn to speak Spanish fluently, I still feel I'm like, it is what it is. So now I'm like, let's look at other stuff. So now I'm like learning oh my gosh, I'm learning Arabic, because that's what my brother-in-law speaks, and that's what my niece is gonna be speaking. So I'm like, okay, I should, if he's gonna be around more, I'm like kind of want to learn to speak that. And also because I like anime too much still, Japanese as well, but also like Hebrew and also Latin. I'm like, because tarot, that shit always pops up. I'm like, I might as well. Thanks, Duolingo. Sponsor us next time.
My call for action is a little bit more personal. Check yourself. Check yourself, just not saying that, check yourself, but kind of go through your circles, right? Your circle of friends, your tarot decks, your books, on your shelf, and your TarotTube watching history, right? All the things that you day in and day out that you do, kind of scan through it. Make a list, make a conscious effort to scan through it. How much of the things that you watch, you buy, you talk to are different than you, right? That are not what you used to, not what your bring up, your upbringing, right? How much of it is different from you? And then you kind of reassess, like, wow, actually 95% the stuff that I watch is still Chinese drama. Why? Maybe you should watch a little bit more different drama than the Chinese drama that you keep watching. If 95% that I am watching on my YouTube channel is all Miss Zachary's channel's review, then maybe I should watch something by Lucy and Annika. Something along that line. Just do a little checklist and then kind of, and you will see, wait a minute, you know what? I have not put up the effort, and then I'm going to change a little bit. I'm just going to watch Miss Zachary's channel a little bit more. I'm just going to, do another Korean drama instead of Chinese drama. A little baby step. And then moving forward, I think that will better yourself a little bit, not better, but you know what I'm saying, a little bit wider your circles, and then you can take bigger steps. Oh, great. I watched that Asian drama the other day. Why? Let's talk about that Korean drama. Because then we have something to talk about, right? We have that deck. Let's talk about that deck. And I think that little step will get us very far. So last but not least, let's take out your tarot deck. Let's pull a card. And what should we pull a card for? Nobody's answering me. I'm using the Urban Tarot.
I'm using
Marielle.
Brady.
Marielle, of course. What about you, Lucy?
Brady.
Brady, lovely.
Okay. Oh, Brady, right. This is the Okuli Okultati, but I'm only using the majors.
Okay, so we'll pull a card for, what do we pull a card for?
The call for action and diversity. No? Wrap it up with a card.
What is it?
The call for action on diversity.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Right, what is the tarot's call to action?
Tarot call to action. Ooh, girl, I'm excited.
Yeah, like what can I do to embrace diversity?
Oh, I got it.
Got mine.
So many good comment out there. Love it.
Natalia's comment was really good.
Thank you. And then detox more. Girl. Okay. We all have a card, right? Let's see. My card. Boop. The string.
Right.
Okay.
Look at her.
Ooh, nice.
The high I
Nice.
think that card, Zach, there is some kind of like stickiness to it. You draw that card constantly.
Tradition.
Tradition, strength, and higher.
Not only your own tradition, but the traditions of others. Familiarize yourself.
Annika.
Justice. I think our call to action is on point. If we do say so ourselves.
And then Lucy, what is the final card?
I got the Father of Feathers.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Is
which
that the King of
actually.
Swords?
Sorry?
Is that the King of Swords?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
Wands, I think, because it's burning.
Oh.
yeah, once. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, it's because California's burning right now. Put that one back.
It actually, yeah, there's a fire, and I was noticing that, and it immediately resonated with, burning what doesn't serve you anymore. Which is kind of weird.
Good. I think the collective reading here is great. Have strength, learn your lesson, dig deeper into your tradition, have to find out, learn your, have justice, be vigilant about seeking justice, and have that fire in you with all the passion, right? And
Execute.
And I'm seeing all this. If you drew a card, beautiful. I see strength there. I see 7 of Pentacles in the Modern Witch. Strength also on point, on point.
Oh,
Oh, I like this phrase from the guidebook. It says, "All growth burns away, making space for new grass and other plants." There we go. Make space.
there you go. There you go. Makes sense.
What a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much. I hope that this little roundtable has some kind of insight, some kind of little steps that we can move forward to enrich diversity in your own circle, in TarotTube, and in larger world. So little step, baby step moving forward. And next time we will talk about addiction, collecting, and self-awareness. Most likely will be on Miss Zachary, the Tigers of this channel. Thank you so much for coming. Until next time, have a beautiful week, and hopefully the fire in California will be gone. Everything will be done. 2020 is almost over, and good night. Bye.
Bye. Mwah.
Mwah.